The game begins. She was just a bet to the billionaire, until he fell first. Welcome to Fallen Hearts Chronicles. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Broken Heart. The challenge that changed everything. The New York skyline glittered like scattered diamonds below Alexander Thorne's penthouse. At 32, he owned 15 luxury hotels across 3 continents. Tonight, his private party hosted the city's elite, people who measured their worth in millions and their relationships in useful connections. Alexander stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, a glass of expensive whiskey in his hand, feeling absolutely nothing. The conversations around him blurred into meaningless noise. Another party. Another night of shallow smiles and calculated friendships. You've lost your edge, Alex. Derek Hastings appeared beside him, perfectly styled hair and a shark smile. They'd been business partners once, before Alexander had bought him out. Derek never quite forgave him for that. Have I? Alexander's voice was cold, bored. Look at you. The great Alexander Thorne, standing alone at his own party. When did you become so dull? Derek sipped his champagne. I remember when you could charm anyone. Now you just buy people. Alexander's jaw tightened. Get to the point, Derek. Derek gestured toward the kitchen entrance where staff moved in and out with trays of perfect food. See that woman? The chef who's been making all this incredible food tonight. Alexander had noticed her earlier. Maya-chan. His hotel manager had hired her 3 months ago for the flagship hotel's restaurant. Young, talented, completely professional. She turned down his invitation to dinner last week with a polite but firm, "No, thank you, Mr. Thorne." It was the first time anyone had said no to him in years. What about her? Alexander asked. Derek's smile widened. I heard she rejected you. The mighty Alexander Thorne, turned down by a chef. He leaned closer. I bet you can't make her fall in love with you. That's childish. Is it? Or are you afraid you've forgotten how to connect with real people? Derek's eyes glinted with challenge. 90 days. Make her fall in love with you. Genuinely. No threats. No bribes. Just your charm. And when I win? Alexander heard himself asking. My 30% shares in Hastings Hotel Group. I know you've wanted full control since I bought in. Derek paused. But when you lose, I get your Miami Beach resort. The one your grandfather built. The Miami resort was worth 3 times what Derek's shares were worth. It was also the only property Alexander actually cared about, filled with childhood memories of the only family member who'd ever loved him. It was an insane bet. Cruel. Treating a woman like a prize in a game. Alexander looked at Maya through the kitchen doorway. She was focused, directing her team with quiet confidence. There was something different about her. Something real in a world of perfect fakes. You're on, Alexander said, surprising himself. Derek extended his hand. They shook. The game had begun. The chef who couldn't be bought. Maya-chan wiped sweat from her forehead with her sleeve. The dinner service was finally over. 20 perfect courses for New York's richest people. People who probably didn't even taste the food. Too busy networking and showing off. She loved cooking. She'd loved it since she was 6, watching her father in his small restaurant in Chinatown. But she didn't love cooking for people who treated her like she was invisible. Excellent work tonight, Chef Chin. Alexander Thorne appeared in her kitchen doorway. Maya looked up, surprised. Billionaires didn't usually come to the kitchen. Thank you, Mr. Thorne. Call me Alexander. Is there something wrong with the food? Maya asked directly. She was tired, and she didn't have energy for games. Everything was perfect. He stepped closer. I wanted to ask if you'd join me for coffee sometime. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the restaurant. Here it was. The thing she'd been warned about by other female staff. Alexander Thorne, charming and handsome and used to getting what he wanted. That's kind, but I'm very busy, Maya said politely. If you have concerns about the restaurant, please speak to the manager. Something flickered in his eyes.
Surprise?
He wasn't used to rejection. Of course.
Good night, chef.
He left without another word.
Maya S. sous-chef Whistledlow.
Girl. Did you just turn down Alexander Thorne? I'm here to cook, not to be someone's entertainment, Maya said firmly. But that night, as she rode the subway back to her tiny apartment, she thought about his eyes. There'd been something lonely in them, something almost human. She shook her head. Billionaires weren't lonely. They were just bored. Sunday morning at the farmer's market. Maya loved Sunday mornings at the Union Square farmer's market. Fresh vegetables, homemade cheese, real conversations with farmers who cared about their produce. It reminded her of her father taking her to Chinatown markets as a child. She was examining tomatoes when a familiar voice spoke beside her. The heirloom varieties are better this time of year. Maya turned to find Alexander Thorne standing next to her in jeans and a simple shirt. He looked different outside his expensive suits. Younger, almost normal. Mr. Thorne, what are you doing here? Shopping. And it's Alexander. He smiled. I live 2 blocks away. I come here most Sundays. Maya doubted that. Men like him had people shop for them. But she was polite. These do look good. Let me carry your bag, he offered. It looks heavy. I can manage. I'm sure you can. But I'm offering anyway. There was something genuine in his voice. Maya found herself handing him her bag. They walked through the market together, and somehow it felt natural. He asked about her cooking, really listened when she explained her philosophy about fresh ingredients and honest food. My father had a restaurant, Maya found herself saying. Small place in Chinatown. He worked 18-hour days trying to make it succeed. Did it?
No.
He had to close it 3 years ago. Couldn't compete with the chains. There was old sadness in her voice. He'd used all our savings. My college fund. Everything. I'm sorry, Alexander said. And surprisingly, he sounded like he meant it. It's okay. I got a culinary scholarship. Worked my way through school. She smiled. Now I cook at your fancy hotel. The best restaurant in the city, Alexander corrected. Because of you. Maya looked at him, suspicious of the compliment. But his eyes were serious. Honest. Thank you, she said quietly. They stopped at a coffee cart. Alexander bought them both coffee, and they sat on a bench watching people pass. For an hour they just talked. About food, about the city, about nothing important and everything that mattered. When Maya finally had to leave, she felt something she hadn't expected. She'd enjoyed his company. Same time next week? Alexander asked. Maya hesitated. This felt dangerous, but also nice. Maybe, she said. His smile was brilliant. I'll take maybe. Late nights and real conversations. Try this. Maya held out a spoon to Alexander. They were in the restaurant kitchen long after closing. This had become their routine over the past month. He'd show up around 11, after her staff left, and she'd experiment with new dishes while he tasted and talked. Alexander took the spoon, his fingers brushing hers. That's incredible. What is it? My grandmother's dumpling filling. I'm trying to figure out how to make it fancy enough for your restaurant. It doesn't need to be fancier. It's perfect as it is. He watched her work, the careful way her hands moved. Tell me about your grandmother. Maya's face softened. She came from China with nothing, worked in garment factories, saved every penny to bring my father over. She taught him to cook these dumplings. He taught me. She paused. Food is memory, you know? Every dish carries a story. Alexander felt something crack open in his chest. When was the last time someone had talked to him like this? Not about money or business, but about real things. Family, memory, love. My grandfather taught me to swim, he found himself saying. At the Miami resort. Every summer, just him and me. My parents were always too busy working. Were you close? He was the only person who... Alexander stopped, surprised by his own honesty. He was the only person who saw me, not the Thorne heir, just me. Maya's eyes were gentle. That's a gift. Having even one person who really sees you. They looked at each other across the kitchen counter. Something was happening here. Something neither of them had planned. Maya, Alexander started. But his phone buzzed. Derek's name flashed on the screen. A reminder. Day 45. Halfway there. The bet. He'd almost forgotten about it. Guilt crashed over him like a wave. This wasn't supposed to be real. But looking at Maya, flower on her cheek, trust in her eyes, Alexander realized he was in trouble. This was becoming very real. The invitation that meant everything. Come to dinner at my parents' house, Maya said. It was a Friday evening, and they'd just finished another late-night kitchen session. 2 months had passed since the farmer's market. 2 months of conversations and laughter and slowly falling. Are you sure? Alexander asked, surprised. My mother's been asking about you. I told her about our Sunday market visits. Maya smiled. She wants to meet the man who carries my vegetables. Alexander's heart pounded. Meeting parents. That meant something. That meant she was letting him into her real life. I'd be honored, he said. The following Sunday, Alexander stood outside a small apartment building in Queens, holding flowers and feeling more nervous than he'd ever felt closing a business deal. Maya met him at the door, beautiful in a simple dress. Ready? She asked. Ready. Her parents' apartment was tiny, warm, filled with the smell of home cooking and family photos. Her mother, Mrs. Chun, hugged him like he was already family. Her father shook his hand firmly, studying him with protective eyes. They ate at a small table, passing dishes family style. The food was simple and perfect. Her mother told embarrassing stories about Maya as a child. Her father asked Alexander questions about his business, but also about his life, his dreams, his character. No one had asked Alexander about his character in years. Maya tells us you want to help her open her own restaurant someday, Mr. Chun said. Alexander glanced at Maya, who blushed. I mentioned you've been supportive of my ideas, she said quietly. Your daughter is incredibly talented, Alexander said. She deserves her own place. A community restaurant where people can gather, where food brings people together. Mrs. Chun smiled. You understand her dream. He did. And sitting in that cramped, warm apartment, surrounded by genuine love and acceptance, Alexander realized something that terrified him. He'd fallen in love with Maya Chin. Not because of a bet, not to win anything, just because of who she was. Her passion, her strength, her authenticity. She made him want to be better. She made him feel human again. As they said goodbye, Maya walked him to the subway station. Thank you for coming, she said. My parents loved you. I loved meeting them, Alexander said honestly. Your family is special, Maya. She looked up at him, something soft in her eyes. So are you, Alexander. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Someone cold. Someone who treats people like possessions. She smiled. But you're not like that. You're kind. You listen. You care. Alexander's throat tightened with guilt. If only she knew the truth. Maya, he started. She reached up and kissed his cheek. I'm glad I said yes to coffee with you. She disappeared into the subway, leaving Alexander standing on the street corner, his heart breaking. Because in winning the bet, he'd lost something far more valuable. His integrity, his right to her trust. And tomorrow he had to decide. Tell her the truth and lose her, or keep lying and lose himself. The storm before the calm. Alexander sat in his penthouse that night, staring at his phone. Derek had sent a message. Day 89 tomorrow. Time to collect my winnings. Bring her to dinner at Marcel's. Let me see your victory. The bet was almost over. Alexander had won. Maya was falling for him. He could see it in her eyes, feel it in the way she touched his arm, hear it in her laughter. He'd won, and it felt like the biggest loss of his life. Alexander walked to his window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Maya was probably sketching plans for her dream restaurant, believing in a future, trusting him. He picked up his phone to call Derek, to tell him the bet was off, that he couldn't do this. But his pride stopped him. That same pride that had accepted the bet in the first place. the pride that had built his empire by treating people as stepping stones. He'd call Derek tomorrow. He'd tell Maya the truth. He'd fix this. But tonight, just for tonight, he'd let himself believe the lie. That he was worthy of her. That this was real. That love could be built on a foundation of deception. In Queens, Maya lay in bed, smiling at her phone. Alexander had sent a simple text. "Thank you for tonight. Your family is wonderful. You are wonderful." She typed back, "See you tomorrow?" His response came immediately, "Always." Maya's heart felt full. After years of focusing only on work, she'd finally let someone in. Someone who saw her. Someone who understood her dreams. She didn't know that tomorrow, her world would shatter. She didn't know that trust, once broken, bleeds slowly. She didn't know that the man she was falling for had started loving her while pretending it was all a game. The storm was coming, and neither of them was ready. The fall, when the truth shattered everything. Welcome back to Fallen Hearts Chronicles. If you missed part 1, watch it first. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Broken Heart. Love in full bloom. 3 months had passed since that first Sunday at the farmer's market. Maya couldn't believe how much her life had changed. Alexander was nothing like the cold billionaire she'd expected. He was thoughtful, curious, genuinely interested in her world. Every Sunday, they still met at the farmer's market. Every Wednesday, he came to the restaurant after closing, sitting at the counter while she created new dishes. He'd taste everything, offering honest feedback, telling her stories about foods he'd tried around the world. But it was the small things that made Maya fall. The way he remembered her favorite coffee order. How he'd send her photos of interesting ingredients he'd spotted. The time he'd shown up in the pouring rain because she'd mentioned feeling sad about her father's restaurant closing anniversary. "You're different lately," her mother said one Sunday afternoon. They were making dumplings together in her parents' kitchen. Happy. Lighter. Maya smiled. "I think I'm in love, Mom." Her mother's eyes softened. "Alexander is a good man. I can see it in how he looks at you. Like you're the sun and he's been living in darkness." "That's poetic, Mom." "It's true. Your father looked at me the same way when we met." She patted Maya's hand. "Hold on to this, my daughter. Real love is rare." Maya thought about her mother's words as she prepared for dinner with Alexander that evening. He'd made reservations at his flagship restaurant, the one where she worked. It felt special, full circle somehow. She wore her best dress, simple but elegant. When she arrived, Alexander was waiting at their favorite corner table. He stood when he saw her, and the look in his eyes took her breath away. "You're beautiful," he said softly. "You're not so bad yourself." She smiled, sitting down. The dinner was perfect. They talked about everything and nothing. He told her about a property he was considering buying, asked her opinion on the location. She shared her dreams about her future restaurant, and he listened like every word mattered. "Maya," he said as dessert arrived, "these past 3 months have been the best of my life." Her heart fluttered. "Mine too. You've changed me, made me see what really matters." He reached across the table, taking her hand. "I want you to know that you're the most genuine, incredible person I've ever met." "Alexander, let me finish. I'm not good with words about feelings, but I need you to know that you've made me want to be better. To be worthy of you." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "You are worthy. You're amazing." He smiled, but something sad flickered in his expression, something she couldn't quite read. "There's something I need to tell you," he began. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his face went pale. A text from Derek. "Tomorrow night. Marcel's. 8 p.m. Time to claim my victory, old friend." Alexander's hand tightened on hers. "Maya, is everything okay?" she asked, concerned. "Yes. No. He looked torn, agonized. "Can we talk tomorrow? There's something important I need to tell you." "Of course. Is it bad?" "It's complicated." He squeezed her hand. "Just know that whatever happens, my feelings for you are real. You have to believe that." Maya laughed nervously. "You're scaring me a little." Don't be scared. Just meet me tomorrow for lunch, before your shift. Okay? She agreed, though confusion swirled in her chest. They finished dinner, but the magic had dimmed slightly. Alexander walked her to the subway, kissed her forehead gently, and watched her disappear into the station with an expression of pure heartbreak. Maya didn't understand why, but she would, very soon. The devil's invitation. Maya was confused when she received the email the next morning. An invitation from Derek Hastings, one of New York's prominent hotel investors. The subject line read, "Exciting catering opportunity." The email was professional, flattering. He wanted to discuss having her cater a major event. He'd heard amazing things about her cooking. Could she meet him for dinner tonight to discuss details? Marcel's at 8 p.m. Maya's heart raced. This could be her big break. A high-profile catering job could give her the money and reputation to start her own restaurant. She immediately called Alexander, but it went to voicemail. He was probably in meetings. She left a message, "Hey, I got this amazing opportunity. Dinner meeting tonight with Derek Hastings about a catering job. I'll have to miss our lunch, but I'll tell you everything tomorrow. Wish me luck." She didn't know that Alexander was sitting in his office, staring at his phone, a text from Derek on the screen. "Invited your little chef to dinner. Thought she should know what kind of man she's fallen for. See you at 8. Alexander's world tilted. Derek was going to tell her. Tonight. Before Alexander could do it himself, before he could explain, before he could show her the property he'd bought for her restaurant. His real proof that this had become genuine. He tried calling Maya back. No answer. She was probably prepping for the evening, excited about the opportunity. He texted, "Maya, don't go to that dinner. Please, we need to talk first." But Maya was in the kitchen, phone in her locker, focused on preparing her best recipes to impress a potential investor. She didn't see the message. She didn't see Alexander's desperate attempts to reach her. By 7:30 p.m., Maya was dressed in her best outfit, portfolio of recipes in hand, heading to Marcel's with hope in her heart and dreams in her eyes. She had no idea she was walking into an execution. The truth burns like fire. Marcel's was elegant, expensive, intimidating. Maya felt out of place in her simple dress, but she held her head high. She'd earned her seat at this table through talent and hard work. Derek Hastings was waiting, handsome, charming, with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes.
Chef Chen.
"So glad you could make it." He stood, shaking her hand. "Please sit. Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Hastings. I'm excited to discuss the catering opportunity." Of course. But first, let's order. Have you been here before?" They ordered, and Derek was charming. He asked about her cooking philosophy, her background, seemed genuinely interested. Maya relaxed slightly. This was going well. "Tell me," Derek said as their appetizers arrived. "How long have you been seeing Alexander Thorne?" Maya froze. That's personal. I'm here to discuss business." "Oh, but it is business, my dear." "Very much so." Derek's smile turned cold. "Did Alexander tell you how we know each other?" "He mentioned you were former business partners." "Did he mention we like to make bets? Friendly wagers between old friends?" Something uncomfortable twisted in Maya's stomach. "I don't understand what this has to do with catering." "There is no catering job." Derek leaned back, studying her like a specimen. "I brought you here to give you a gift. The truth." He pulled out a folder, slid it across the table. "Open it." With trembling hands, Maya opened the folder. Inside was a contract, a bet agreement, dated 3 months ago, the exact day she'd first run into Alexander at the farmer's market. Her eyes scanned the words. Party A, Alexander Thorne, agrees to make Party B's target, Maya-chan, fall in love within 90 days. No coercion or bribery. Success means transfer of Party B's, Derek Hastings, 30% shares in Hastings Hotel Group. Failure means transfer of Miami Beach resort property. The words blurred. Maya read it again and again. Her name, right there. Target. I don't understand, she whispered. It's quite simple. Derek's voice was cruel now, enjoying this. 3 months ago, Alexander bet me that he could make you fall in love with him. You were a game, a challenge, something to relieve his boredom.
No.
No, that's not. But the date was exact. Derek pulled out his phone, showed her text messages. Alexander checking in. Ran into her at the market. She's warming up. Another from week 4. Having coffee regularly now. She's starting to trust me. Another from week 8. Met the parents. I think I've got this. Each message was a knife. Each word proof that every moment had been calculated. Planned. Fake. The farmer's market wasn't an accident, Derek explained, twisting the knife deeper. He found out your routine. The Sunday visits, the coffee shop you liked, your dreams about opening a restaurant. He researched you like a business acquisition. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. The restaurant, the corner table, the late-night cooking sessions, meeting her parents, his interest in her dreams. All of it. Lies. Even this. Derek slid another document across. Property deed. He bought a restaurant space last week. Prime location in Queens, near your parents. I'm sure he was planning to give it to you as the grand finale. The final move to seal the deal. Very romantic. Very calculated. The property was perfect. Exactly what she'd described in her dreams. He'd been listening, planning, manipulating. Why? Maya's voice broke. Why would he do this? Because men like us get bored. Because we can. Because treating people like chess pieces is how we've survived in our world. Derek shrugged. Though I admit, I think Alexander got too invested in this particular game. He actually seems to care about you now. Funny how that works. Maya stood up abruptly, the chair scraping loudly. Other diners looked over. Where is he? Her voice was deadly quiet. Probably at his penthouse, preparing his confession. I imagine he planned to tell you tomorrow, spin it some romantic way. It started as a bet but became real. That sort of thing. Derek smiled. I just thought you deserved to hear it from someone honest. Maya grabbed the folder, her hands shaking with rage and heartbreak. She walked out of Marcel's, leaving Derek sitting there with his victory. She had somewhere to be, someone to face. Confrontation in the penthouse. Alexander's penthouse door wasn't locked. Maya walked in without knocking, fury and devastation warring in her chest. He was standing by the window, still in his suit from work, and he turned when he heard her. His face crumpled when he saw her expression, saw the folder in her hands. Maya, don't. Her voice was ice. Don't say my name like it means something to you. Let me explain. She threw the folder at him. Papers scattered across his expensive floor. Explain what? How you made me a bet. How you studied me like a business deal. How every moment we shared was part of your game. It started that way, Alexander said desperately. But it changed. You have to believe me. It changed. When? Maya's voice rose, cracking. When did it change, Alexander? After the first lie? The 10th? When you met my parents and lied to their faces. When you let me fall in love with you knowing it was all fake. It's not fake now. My feelings are real. How would I know? Tears streamed down her face. How could I possibly know what's real when our entire relationship is built on deception? Was the farmer's market real? Or did you research my schedule? Alexander's silence was answer enough. The coffee shop? The late nights in the kitchen? My dreams about the restaurant. Her voice broke completely. You used my dreams against me. You learned everything I wanted and gave it to me like bait in a trap. I was going to tell you, Alexander pleaded. Tomorrow. I was going to show you the property and explain everything. I was going to tell you that yes, it started as a bet, but I fell in love with you. Really in love. The property. Maya laughed bitterly. The final move. The closing argument. Very strategic, Alexander. Very thorough. It wasn't strategy. I bought it because I want you to have your dream. I want to help you. Help me? She stepped closer, fury in her eyes. You want to help me? You destroyed me. You took my trust, my heart, my dreams, and you turned them into a game. You made me believe someone finally saw me, valued me, cared about me. And all of it was performance. Not all of it. Yes, all of it. She was screaming now. Because I can't tell what was real. Every memory is poisoned. Every moment contaminated. When you held my hand, was that real? When you met my mother, was that real? When you said I was incredible, genuine, amazing, was any of that real? Alexander reached for her, but she stepped back like his touch would burn. I loved you, Maya whispered. I actually loved you. I thought you were different. I thought you saw me as a person, not as... She looked at the scattered papers. Not as a target. I do see you. I see you more clearly than I've ever seen anyone.
No.
You see what you wanted me to be. The poor chef with big dreams. The immigrant daughter trying to honor her father. The perfect project for a bored billionaire looking for entertainment. Her voice was hollow now, empty. I was never a person to you. I was a challenge. A game. A bet. That's not true anymore. When did it stop being true? She looked at him with dead eyes. Tell me the exact moment. The exact second when I stopped being a target and became a person. Because I can't tell. And if you can't tell, then what does that say about us? About you? Alexander had no answer. Because he didn't know. He couldn't pinpoint the moment the game became real. And that damned him more than anything. I need you to leave my restaurant, Maya said quietly. I'm quitting tomorrow. I never want to see you again. Maya, please. You want to know the worst part? Her voice broke. I would have fallen for you anyway, if you'd just been honest. If you'd just asked me to coffee as a person, not as part of a bet. I would have said yes. I would have fallen for you. But you didn't give me that choice. You took my agency, my free will, and you made me part of your game. She walked to the door, then turned back. I hope you win your bet, Alexander. I hope Derek's shares were worth it. Because they cost you the only real thing you'll ever have. Don't go. Please, Maya, don't go. But she was already gone. The door closed softly, and Alexander sank to his knees among the scattered papers of his greatest mistake. He'd won the bet. Maya had fallen in love with him. Derek would have to hand over his shares. And Alexander had lost everything that mattered. The aftermath of broken trust. Maya moved back into her parents' apartment that night. She didn't explain everything, just said it was over. Her mother held her while she cried. Her father paced the small living room, angry at Alexander but unsure what to do. He deceived you, her father said. He treated you like you weren't worthy of honesty. He made me feel special, Maya sobbed, like I mattered. And it was all a lie. You do matter, sweet daughter, her mother whispered. His lie doesn't change your truth. But Maya felt like her truth had been shattered. She'd trusted her judgment, trusted her heart, and both had betrayed her. How could she trust herself again? She quit her job that week via email. Couldn't face going back to the restaurant, seeing the kitchen where they'd cooked together, the table where they'd shared meals. Every inch of that place was haunted by lies. Her phone filled with messages from Alexander. She deleted them without reading. Flowers arrived at her parents' apartment. She gave them to neighbors. Letters came, handwritten, desperate. She burned them. He'd stolen 3 months of her life. She wouldn't give him another second. Meanwhile, at his penthouse, Alexander was falling apart. His assistant noticed first. Meetings missed. Calls unreturned. He sat in his penthouse for days, staring at nothing. Derek came by to collect his victory, the signed documents transferring the Miami resort. Alexander signed without looking, without caring. You're taking this harder than I expected, Derek said, surprised. It was just a bet, Alex. Get out. Oh, come on. There'll be other women. You're a billionaire. You can have anyone. Alexander grabbed Derek by the collar, slammed him against the wall. She wasn't anyone. She was everything. And I destroyed her because of your stupid bet and my stupid pride. He released Derek, who scrambled toward the door. You're pathetic, Derek spat. Getting emotional over. Get out before I throw you off this balcony. Derek left. Alexander sank onto his couch, head in his hands. The penthouse felt like a tomb. Everything reminded him of Maya. The kitchen where she'd cooked for him once. The window where they'd watched the sunrise. The couch where she'd fallen asleep during a movie. She'd filled this empty space with warmth, with life, with meaning. And he'd destroyed it all. His phone rang. His hotel manager. Sir, Chef Chin has officially resigned. Should I start looking for a replacement?
No.
Alexander's voice was hollow. Close the restaurant. Close it? Sir, it's your flagship. The restaurant only mattered because of her. Without her, it's just another expensive room. Close it. He hung up. Everything was meaningless without her. His empire, his success, his money. All of it hollow. Dead weight that couldn't fill the Maya-shaped hole in his soul. For the first time in his life, Alexander Thorne understood what he'd actually lost. Not a bet. Not a game. Not a challenge. He'd lost his chance at salvation. At redemption. At love. And it was entirely his fault. The darkness before dawn. Weeks passed. Maya worked at a small diner now, saving money slowly. Her dreams of a restaurant felt poisoned, tainted by his manipulation. He'd even taken that from her. Her mother found her crying one night over a cookbook. What's wrong, sweet daughter? He ruined cooking for me, Maya sobbed. Every time I create something, I remember him tasting it. Every ingredient reminds me of his lies. He took my passion and made it hurt. Then we reclaim it, her mother said firmly. We cook together. We remember why you fell in love with food in the first place. Not for him, for you, for our family, for the joy of creation. They started cooking together every evening. Slowly, painfully, Maya began to heal. She couldn't forget Alexander, couldn't stop the dreams where he was real and good and honest. But she could move forward. One day, her father came home excited. Maya, you won't believe it. Someone paid off the debt from my restaurant. Anonymously. Every penny. We're free of it. Maya's heart stopped. When? The transfer was dated 2 months ago. Right after I met Alexander at dinner. Her father frowned. You don't think. Maya did think. She thought about the property deed Derek had shown her, bought the same week. She thought about Alexander's resources, his connections, his ability to make things happen. Had he done this before the bet ended? Before Derek revealed everything? She pushed the thought away. It didn't matter. Even if he had, it didn't undo the lie. It didn't give her back her trust. But late at night, she wondered. She wondered what was real and what was game. She wondered if she'd ever know. Across the city, Alexander was disappearing. His company ran itself without him. His board was worried. His few real friends were concerned. He spent his days walking the city, ending up at the farmer's market every Sunday, sitting on their bench, drinking coffee alone. He deserved this pain, this loneliness, this emptiness. He'd become exactly what he feared, the kind of man his parents were. Cold, calculating, treating people as means to ends. Maya had shown him another way, had made him feel human, had loved him despite his flaws, and he'd repaid her with the cruelest kind of betrayal. One night, drunk and broken, he called Derek. You won. You got your resort. You destroyed what we had. Are you happy? Honestly?
No.
Derek sounded almost sad. I thought watching you suffer would feel good, but it just feels empty. Everything feels empty, Alexander whispered. She was the only real thing in my life, and I treated her like a business deal. So fix it. How? She won't see me, won't read my letters, won't answer my calls. Then maybe, Derek said slowly, you need to show her instead of tell her. Words are cheap. Actions matter. Alexander hung up, those words echoing in his head. Actions matter. He'd built an empire through actions. He'd destroyed Maya through actions disguised as affection. Maybe redemption required action too. Not words, not apologies, not grand gestures meant to impress. Real change, real sacrifice, real proof. But what could he possibly do that would show her the truth? That what they had, what he felt, had become devastatingly real. He looked around his penthouse, at the empire he'd built, at the life he'd constructed on manipulation and strategy and treating people as pawns. And he knew what he had to do. He had to dismantle everything, tear it all down, become someone worthy of her truth. It would cost him everything. His reputation, his wealth, his identity. But maybe, just maybe, it would buy him something more valuable. A chance. Not at winning her back, but at becoming someone who deserved her in the first place. The road to redemption started with a single step, and Alexander Thorne was ready to walk it, no matter how far it led from everything he'd ever known.